Hello and welcome to this video. Today I'm going to unbox another Pixie box by Sophie and Toffee. And this will be their Halloween Haunted Hideaway box. So always we're greeted by tissue paper, followed by the information card, which has some super cute, like chibi-esque designs of some Halloween dressed characters, and some beds, and then this really cute cat and this really adorable ghost, and of course their social media information. And then our first mold is this giant one. It looks like we have a head and a pumpkin with a doorway. So I think the head will be the lid that you can put onto the pumpkin, and it will make like a little house or something like that. Really excited to try this one out actually. Next up we have various colors of foil glitter embed, and then we have another alcohol ink in violet. I have so many of these violet alcohol inks by Sophie and Toffee, it's insane by now. And then we get some larger like glitter embed pieces. We got ghosts, shiny bats, and tiny spiders. So yeah, very fitting for the Halloween theme, and the bats actually have like a sparkle. And then we have some glitters in white, purple, like a yellowish tone, green, pink and blue. And these are just some fine glitters. And then we get tiny cane pieces for putting into like shakers and stuff like that. And it looks like we actually get 2 packs in there. And for some reason this packaging was very, very stubborn and didn't want to be opened. Which I guess is good, so nothing gets lost, but yeah, it was a bit hard. So yeah, we have some bat canes, spiders, pumpkins and all that. Very Halloweeny, very fitting. And then we get the light up base, which I'm really happy about because I absolutely love to use them. And we also get some like cane beads, which are a bit larger. And it doesn't really look like they're actually the same, which is good. That means they didn't just use the same canes. And then our next mold is this classic spider mold. Very simple, very cute. And we also get a like gravestone shaker with like little ghosties and all that stuff. That's like tiny shaker bits. And then next up we have a collection of shaker molds. We get like a pill, a syringe and like a star with like, I guess, goo dripping or something like that. And then on the other side we get a heart, another syringe, another like pill thing. And then lastly we have a tiny sticker sheet with like some flowing blood, some hearts, some eyeballs, creepy hands and so on. So also very fitting to the theme. Well, let's actually have a look inside the booklet and see if we got everything. It seems the mini stickers came in 2 different variations, and I'm happy with the one I actually got. The other one is really cute too, but I think the one I got really will be useful to me. And here we can see an example of the pumpkin container mold, and apparently the fine glitters are glowing in the dark, so I really need to test that out. And it seems like we are not missing anything, so let's actually test out if the glitters are glow in the dark. And all I do is I'm just charging them with my UV light, and look at how bright they are. This is so bright, it like illuminates. These are so beautiful. I love this. They're super bright. That's not just my camera setting, so really, really useful glitters. But let's actually make something. I'm gonna change things up and actually use some nail polish for once for actually painting onto the tiny like belt buckle thing on the head. And the base coat I'm just doing with my main nail polish brush because it's just easier and quicker. I do have to remove a little bit from the corners in the end, but with nail polish I found it's a bit easier to get cleaner lines by removing things than with acrylic, because acrylic just tends to loosen in like one sheet from the silicone. Nail polish tries to do that too, but not as much. So I'm using is like a Q-tip and going around the edges, and then I will fix them up with a brush. I know that this works because classically like the applicators for like stencils and stuff are also like gummy or silicone, so it just should just come off when I pour the resin in. And I also am using matte nail polish here because I'm curious if it will actually make it or stay matte. And then all I do is I just use a brush. In this case, I'm using like a fine plastic brush because it's just easier to clean. And I'm going around everywhere just trying to make the lines sharp, making them look nice. It is a bit difficult with this mold because the indent is not really defined that much. It's like curved on the edges, so you can only barely make out where the hat belt band goes. So I had to guesstimate a little bit, but I think it turned out well in the end. And then I mixed up a buttload of resin. Be warned, this mold takes a lot. I mixed 310 milliliters and it like barely filled the mold, so if you want to overfill, mix a little bit more. And all I'm doing is I'm using some mica pigments and some alcohol inks to get the colors. And for the purple I want to go a bit more opaque, so I'm using a bit more purple mica pigment just to make sure that it's not a see-through. And then for the pumpkin I want to go a little bit more see-through. I went a little bit too heavy, I think, on the pigment on the orange, but that was just how it like fell out of the bag. But I think in the end the color turned out really, really nicely. And one thing I wanted to try is I wanted to try and bubble these in just putting them into my vacuum chamber beforehand, though not with the molds. If I had a pressure pot I would definitely use this for these kinds of molds, but I guess it works out in this way too. And then all I did was I just poured it in, and I actually didn't fill them to the top because I wanted to swirl around the resin a little bit beforehand just to make sure that the sides are coated, because that also makes it easier for air bubbles to rise. And then I filled the molds up. And I really had to like scrape out the excess out of my container just to make sure that I had the mold adequately filled. There's a tiny like resin part on the front porch that's like maybe a pathway stone or something like that, and I had to really scrape resin to like fill that properly and to make sure that it's actually being poured. And then after a day it was cured. Now this is a large mold, of course it cured way quicker than most other molds. So this worked out really, really nicely. I didn't have to wait too long. And I think the color of the pumpkin looks so pretty. It's like this reddish orange, and now you can actually see the details. There are some air bubbles in this one, mainly around like the windows because it has some harsh edges, but they're not that noticeable. As for the head, it definitely turned out really nicely. It has some like waves on the edges, which is really nice, and I had like one air bubble gap in that, which is a shame because it was right on the rim, but I guess it's fine. And then for painting it, because this is a slick surface and I don't want to have to prime everything because I just want to paint the windows and the doorway, for all the resin parts like the windows and actually also the spiderweb, I'm just gonna go in with my detail nail file and just roughen it up a little, and it will just make it way easier for the paint to stick. And actually it also helps for details. If you have raised parts like the spider web and you like pass it over lightly with a nail file or something like that, and then you apply the color, and since the rest of the surface is slick besides the resin part that you just sanded, you can just go over it with your finger, rub the color into the rough parts and then wipe away the excess on the slick part, and it will leave the details colored that you actually want to color, and the rest will just stay really clean and nice. And that's how I got the detail on the spiderweb. I missed a little bit of the edges while sanding with that just because they're too rounded, so it's really hard to actually hit them without sanding the rest. But I think it looks really well either way because the details definitely really pop. And then I just apply some brown wood coloring to the windows. I didn't really want to detail it too much, I just want to give it a bit of color variation. And the same also counts for the doorway. I wanted to make the doorway brown, and I wanted to make sure to really get into all the creases of the detail of the like wood grain, I guess. And then I painted the porch part and I guess the surrounding like door frame also with this like stony gray. And It needed a couple of coats because this is a slick part, but in the end, I think the color applied really nicely, and once I sealed, it should be fine. I would have loved to sand it this part, but it's just way too hard to reach everything here. Another method would have been to actually use like a matte nail polish, because they like really stick, or like I guess a matte clear nail polish, like a clay nail polish varnish, as I did in a previous project, because they actually make the surface a bit more holdable. And then just use some clear acrylic varnish on top that will help to like blend it in. But as you can see, it worked out really nicely, and it's actually not that badly scratchable, I guess. And I think the colors match real nice. And then after a while, after it's dry, I'm also going to apply a wash to the door and the stones, just to make the details pop out more. And in the end, I think it turned out really nicely. One other thing I also added was a silver for the door handle, just to also give that more detail with just the silver marker. And that finishes up the coloring, and all I needed to do was wait for the wash to dry. And then I just applied some high gloss varnish around the places that I colored, just to protect the surfaces a little bit. And also I did get some tiny scratches on the outsides where I was filing like of the windows, and the varnish will just fill them in, make them not look matte, and just blend them in so you really cannot see them anymore. And that's basically it for this project. So what are my thoughts on this box? Again, the tiny like embeds and all that were super nice. We had this awesome glitter, we had the cute canes, the like larger glitter flakes in the like shapes of the ghosts and all that. We had the nice foils, we had the cool light up base, which I think you can absolutely use for a lot of projects. And then we had the molds, which are classic. I think the graveyard shaker mold of the like grey stone with the tiny pieces on the side, like the ghost and all that, are super adorable. I really love that idea. Although, as I mentioned before, I don't really do shakers because they're tedious. But I think like the tiny molds, I can use them for something else, and maybe not make a shaker, but just make like a cute little display piece or something like that. And then the spider mold was really cute. I really adore this house mold. The only thing, again, I mentioned before, is I don't really care for shaker molds. They're super cute, don't get me wrong. I think you can make some really awesome and cute things outside of Halloween theme, actually, with the pills and all that. And the rest, like the syringe and stuff, are also really adorable. I would probably never use them, and if I use them, I will only ever use the pill shape, very likely. But I still think they're this very cute, and I still think that a lot of people will actually get a use out of it. As for the house, I absolutely adore this. You can actually store small pieces of candy and all that in there. Now, the resin I'm using is food safe, but I would still not suggest to actually put like candy without the wrappers in this. It's actually not too large, but I still think you can fit some decent sized pieces in there just to hide it. Like, you know, grab a little snack for Halloween, put it on your desk as a decoration, or actually you can put a light underneath. As you can see, I actually grabbed a larger light base that I had, and I will show you all later how it looks light up, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. The orange actually looks quite dark, but it's actually kind of see-through a little bit, which makes me super happy. So you can put like a fake tea light in there. Again, with the lid closed, a real tea light probably wouldn't work, but a fake one, like an electric one, I think will look really nicely. Or just a fairy light, something that has more light to like light it up and put it up as a decoration when you're not using it as an actual jar. Because I think the details on this are actually super adorable, and it definitely looks like a super neat decoration. So yeah, super happy with this. It's a multifunctional mold that is so cute, so detailed, so pretty. It was a bit hard to pour, obviously, without air bubbles, because there's a lot of overhang, but I guess using the vacuum chamber helped. In any case, like even just making a clear shell with UV resin probably also would help. But I hope you all will not have too many troubles with air bubbles, especially on the head. And overall still super happy with this. So in total this box was a hit theme-wise. It's definitely not my favorite box, but I think I can use most of the things that were in there, and I actually think I really like most of the things that are in there. It's just that previous boxes were a bit better this year, like for me personally, but it's still a very good and useful box, and I'm sure many people would get joy out of it. Let me know in the comments down below, what were your thoughts of this box? Which one was your favorite mold? How do you like my project? And maybe do you have any future project ideas with the mold that are actually in the box? I will most certainly use up all of the embeds, and I really need to start using more glitters in my projects. I think the next few boxes I get, I will actually go into my glitter box and my embed box and try to use them a little more. Because I feel like I'm way too much of a color purist in these cases, where I just tend to go with one or two colors and mix them. And I don't really use my embeds all that much, although I have a lot of really pretty ones that definitely would look good in a lot of projects. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope that you will have a great day. See you next time, bye bye!